SOS Graphic Design provides agency quality professional graphic design services from established companies to startups and individuals. A simple logo to complete rebranding and delivering visual communication with print media. Everything SOS Graphic Design does has a single unifying objective: to set your business apart. We are at your service. Call 313-342-2166. That's 313-342-2166, or online at www.sosgraphicdesign.com. We're moving on now. Come check out the new Scriptural Discussion Hair Braiding and Natural Hair Care Salon, located at 18070 Mount Elliott Street. Our new salon is spacious with adequate parking, Wi-Fi, and all brand new state-of-the-art salon equipment. Come meet your local hair braiders and natural hair care specialists, and check out our many hair services, such as hair treatment. Call 313-826-0498. Here at Scriptural Discussion, we offer professional care for exceptional hair. We look forward to seeing you. Scriptural Discussion is a proud recipient of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
We would like to invite you to help support the efforts of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Visit the website at www.how-we-need-to-work-together-rebuild-stick, and we're actually make online donations and click on links to track the progress of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. And for more information, 313-868-0000. Again, 313-868-0000. Support the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
Love, care, and concern is never locked out. Designed by we, our mission has always been to connect lives and bring love together, one sweet heart at a time. And in today's situation of isolation and social distancing, this feels more important than ever. That designed by NIJ.com. Now we share love, compassion, and expression solidarity.
Highland Park, Detroit. FM 88.1 WHBR, Highland Park, Devil or Sponsor.
The recording was started.
Somebody should. Have you ever tested that? What you feel, you know. With someone that has a different view than your own, then let's talk to one another. Then let's reason with one another on a scriptural discussion with the Son of Man every Wednesday at 9 p.m., Friday at 9 p.m. The Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to it about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning. You can call it live on the air. We are called 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-8 with a scriptural discussion with the Son of Man.
Merciful, the truthful, and the most just. I greet all of you once again who are honorable and have decency and uprightness in your heart, and the desire for the righteousness that is laid out in the Holy Scriptures. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. We always want to give those who have disagreements with us the opportunity to express it, and as The scripture said fools despise correction. That's just another way of saying it's a fool who hates people simply because they offer them correction. If a person is right, if you believe that you are right in what you are saying or in what you are doing, you don't have to fear someone expressing some doubt about what you are doing. You should be able to explain to them why you are justified to do what you did. You know, I want you to read that post that a man left on my video.
Yes, sir. His screen name is Gage the Doom Guy.
Gage the Doom Guy.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And he says, it's not slander if you're caught on film beating a child, you idiot.
It's not slander if you're caught on film beating a child. Well, first of all, I wasn't caught on film beating a child. What was caught on tape was the sound of me beating my baby. What was slander was the man said I hit my baby with a shoe. Which I did not. So that's the slanderous statement. Now, you called me an idiot. Well, an idiot is a fool. The scripture says, whosoever shall say thou fool to a man of God or a messenger of God is in danger of hell fire. Now you come on in here with your smart self, with your intelligent self, and put on your evidence that manifests that I'm an idiot. Doom guy. You see, that's what I mean by these people. I know you was invited to come in here, but the one thing that I have found with most of you who support Donald Trump, not only do you project your state of mind and your state of being onto other people. In other words, you accuse people of what you really are, but you're all cowards. I don't hide behind the internet to talk to you. If you have something that you want to say, I invite you to come in. I invite you to show me what's wrong with anything that I say so I can correct it if it's wrong. But you would rather choose to throw insults at me. It's like you hear these people out here threatening health workers, threatening especially the women that's in healthcare. Threaten the governor up there in Michigan for doing what a governor is supposed to do. Threatening the healthcare workers for doing their job, while claiming you want them to not do their job so you can go back to your job. Do you not see the irony in that? Huh? You want to get back to work, but it's their job to keep you safe while you at work and warn you if there's a problem. And you want them to not do their job so you can go back and die on yours. And then guess who would get to blame? Come on. Who get to blame then? It's just like I told you. I was thinking how Allah told me, he said, now you give them warning. He said, when I say to the wicked that he shall surely die, and you don't give him warning from me, now he gonna die in his wrongdoing. But I'm gonna hold you accountable, son of man, for not warning him. Okay. Turn to the let me make sure that you see this, because I know you want me to shut up. I'm surprised you didn't tell me you don't want me to say nothing else to y'all. Really, I gave you that opportunity, didn't I? Didn't I tell them, especially white people? You want me to stay out of your affairs? Just say, look, you can say nigga if you want to. I don't care. Because you ain't as nearly tired of me as I am of you. Sick of standing up talking to people that hate me. And I'm trying to help them. I'm sick and tired of it. But I love Allah. And he told me to stand up and tell you. But anyway, this is because he about done revealed to me like he revealed to Noah. Noah reached a point where Allah told him, he said, ain't none of your people gonna believe but him who already believed. Go and get in the ark. I'm gonna destroy these people. What's wrong with Doom Guy? Did Doom Guy get your message? Now, if what I said was true, who's the idiot? Huh? Does any of you have a video of me beating on anybody? But we sure got videos of y'all choking people to death, huh? Here's the epitome of hypocrisy. He's so worried to hear him tell it about me beating my baby. I think my baby listening now. Kalisa, you listening to your daddy? Unmute the phone, Danielle, and let Kalisa speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When the last time you acted up in my meeting?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I know you don't. I ain't making fun of you, baby. I'm trying to show people that that's what correction is. You notice you don't hear my babies all of the time acting up in my meeting. You know why? Because I followed God's instructions. He said, withhold not correction from the child. If thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod and deliver his soul from hell. What is hell? Misunderstanding. If my baby thinks If I let them grow up thinking that when daddy talking, you can make noise and ignore the fact that that daddy's speaking. If I don't enforce upon them to respect my voice, respect my authority, then as they grow up, I have taught them that you can choose to listen when somebody has authority or choose not to. Then they get out on the street, and one of the officers that already may hate them already, get them out there on the street, and they decide that that officer talking to them I don't need to hear what you got said. Look, man, let me go. Well, the next thing you know, you get out the car. And then it's downhill from there because you didn't have sense enough to respect people who are in authority. So all you are doing by not doing it the way that Allah said is you are teaching them misunderstanding. Because I'm going to tell you something. You may get away with that with your mama or your daddy, but there's somebody out there on the streets that ain't going to take that foolishness from you. You're going to run into the right one after a while. You can say what you want about me, but ain't none of my children out here practicing disrespect. That's the one phone call I have never gotten from people outside of the Nation of Islam. Well, the new Nation of Islam. Them calling me, telling me that my son or my daughter was out here, one of your low-down children out here disrespected me. Now, I tell you what, Mr. Idiot, you go back there, Mr. Doom guy, you go back there and take your post down off of my video. Why I say it like that? Because that's the kind of folks that they are. They wrong you, and they won't correct it, even when you show that they wronged you. Do you understand? And you give him 15 or 20 minutes. If he don't take it down, you take it down. You old liar. But anyway, now let's go over here to chapter 91 in the book of Psalms. But first, I need to read what Ezekiel said in chapter 3 in verse 17. I'm going to start reading at the 17th verse. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth. Understand the words of my messengers. Every messenger, Ezekiel was the mouth of God. Jesus was the mouth of God. Every one who brought these scriptures, Moses, David, Solomon, when they were speaking, they were God's mouth to you and me. Okay, you've heard that term before, especially in those Godfather movies where they said that they're talking about the lawyer. He said he the mouthpiece. He the mouthpiece over there, right? Okay, now the man that God said he was going to create, which is me. He said, I'm going to create a mortal of sounding clay, of black mud fashioned into the shape of a slave. So when I have made him complete and breathed into him of my words, humble yourself and submit to him and obey him. So the book says that the Lord was dead. It says, I am he that liveth and was dead. Well, what gave me life? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded from the where? From the mouth of God. So he said, Son of man, hear the words at my mouth and give them warning from me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm opening up the Holy Scriptures. This happened to be his mouth's name, Ezekiel. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth, at Ezekiel, and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. So if I don't show you, white people, especially you Trump supporters, that you on the wrong road, man, that racism and bigotry and hatred that you practicing, that's going to get you in the grave, and it's going to get you there quick. Murdering unarmed people, you that's on the police force, you better stop that foolishness. If any of you that feel that you are justified in your hatred of me, a black man, if you feel you are justified in your hatred against black people, I would like you to come in and explain to us. Explain to me. I'm not going to cuss you out. I'm not going to refuse to let you speak. But I do want you to be ready to offer proofs of whatever you have to say. Point for point. Now, come on now. You walking around here spouting off all this hateful rhetoric against me and my people. This is your opportunity to come and tell me, tell us face to face why you hate us and why you are justified. If you say we are a threat to you, tell us how are we a threat to you. If you say we are harmful to the United States of America, tell me how I'm harming America. Tell me how we are harming your country. It's just like sooner or later, many of you are going to wake up to the fact that you have been used to try to get something done from inside of America, from inside of the United States, that those who hated your country couldn't do from the outside. So they used your hatred and your bigotry and your ignorance to try to get you to burn your own house down. I tried to tell you, I tried to warn you. It's just like people, you keep assuming, but sooner or later you're going to wake up and realize that what's being done by Donald Trump, I mean, he read the snake to you. I don't know how many, he read it at least 3 times. You heard one of his sons say his favorite city is Moscow. I mean, this wasn't no child. This was a grown man. I mean, I can understand a child going someplace once. That, you know, if you ask the average grown person that when they was a child, I went to Disneyland when I was a child. And it was amazing. I remember how taken I was by Disneyland. But as I grew, and I went back, and it had lost all of its glamour to me, because I saw things for what they was. It was just big, you know, stuff that was fake and wasn't about nothing. So if you asked me what's my favorite place when I was a child, I'd probably told you Disneyland. But when I grew up, that ain't my favorite place. But this young man is a young man now and was asked what his favorite city is. His daddy got all kind of property in New York, I was told. How's Moscow his favorite city? Oh. But anyway, let's see. Now, you keep assuming that Donald Trump is dumb while Donald Trump says he's a stable genius. I mean, you have to admit, he has your country in turmoil. And got you calling him stupid. Well, how stupid can he be if he got you all upset and tearing up your own house? He got your name and number. And when your intelligence community tried to tell you, he made you jump on them. Your doctor's trying to tell you you're sick. He got you jumping on the doctors. I mean, man, I guess he is a genius. Anyway, now let's go here. I got to tell you this because I don't want to be blamed for what happened to you. So this is, let me see here. This is chapter 91 of the book of Psalms. There's a now let's go. I'm gonna cut to the chase. Well, I can read from the beginning. It ain't long. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The Almighty is the truth. You notice, it's written, he that's from above is what? Is above all. You notice, when you listen to me talk to someone, I can speak to them on whatever level they on. Don't make no difference to me. Because I'm coming from the highest level, and in order to talk to you out of where I'm coming from, I have to reduce it down to where you can understand it. So, It's just like it says. I mean, you just now getting what I've been told you when I start speaking about it, about this Confederate flag and all of this kind of stuff. I told you that. I told you was these people were traitors to America. You got their statues and stuff all up over this country like they were some heroes or something. And if they had had their way, they would have burnt your country down. You walking around here siding with them to mistreat me. Okay. I mean, really, man, I ain't got no dog in that hunt. You know, I used to hear people say that, and I said, what kind of saying is that? Well, I understand it now. And so now I use it. And I don't have no dog in the hunt against the United States. You know? I mean, people say, well, the United States enslaved you. Well, to be technical about it, the United States also condemned the slavery, and they fought a war to put an end to it. So now, I mean, let's just tell the truth. So now, but anyway, it says, I will say of the Lord. And that's who it was talking about in the first place, when it said, dwelling under the shadow of the Almighty. And it says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge. Well, that's what the Isaiah said. That's what the Holy Quran closes with. It says, I seek refuge in the Lord of men, the King of men, the God of men. Huh? Yes. And so in Isaiah, he said, sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary. A sanctuary is a place of refuge. Then it says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. And I'm so, again, I have to take my hat off to the legislature of Mississippi and to the governor of Mississippi. They have decreed, the governor signed the decree that the state flag had to remove the Confederate emblem off of the state flag of Mississippi. And it also said, whatever flag you come up with from now on, it's going to have "In God We Trust" on it. Now, I'm with you, Governor, and I'm with the legislature. And anything you need from me to help this state, all you need to do is ask. The FBI already know where I live. They done visited me before. They done been out here and visited me. And I'm saying this openly. But if any of you want to talk to me, you ain't got to be seen coming out. You can get me on the phone or whatever and tell me what you need from me. And I will be more than happy to help you if it will help the United States, and will help this country, this state of Mississippi. So it says, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Remember, you heard me stand up here and pray for the people who was in these demonstrations against murder by the police force. I prayed that nothing happened to them. What happened? Huh? Nothing happened to them, right? Okay, well, the prayer of I don't like calling myself a righteous man, because I know too much that, so I'm desirous to be righteous. I'll put it like that. I'm desirous to be righteous. You understand? And so it says, the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Now, don't ask me to pray for you to be saved going into these clubs and all of that stuff. I can't pray for that. You doing stuff that Allah, that you don't have to be doing, and that's against what Allah said He wanted done. I told you, remember somebody had asked me, why don't I pray straighten up? But you won't straighten up. So it says, surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. That's what this coronavirus is. It's a pestilence that takes up residence in the body of human beings, like pests take up residence in your physical house. And once they take up residence, and you need to get them out of there. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing where? In His wings. Then it says, His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. It says, and 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh unto thee. So I'm warning you. I'm showing you in God's word. He said, when I say to the wicked, he shall perish, he shall die. Show it to him. So I showed it to you. Now, something else I want to say. You're in the day and time where, there was a time when I haven't read the total history of John Brown. I just heard about it. But John Brown was a Caucasian, I was told, that hated slavery. And he formed and was going around raising hell with other white people about slavery and telling them to let us go. And they finally caught him and killed his, But he wasn't successful because it wasn't time. To those of you Caucasian people that hate the injustices that you see being done to my people and even to your own, you're in the day and time where you will be successful if you stand up against it. Speak out against it. Don't fear threats from cowards. If the coward had a just, he wouldn't be threatening you, he'd be arguing with you. So what his lack of intellect, what his lack of a just argument cannot do, he wants fear to do for him. He wants to frighten you into being quiet. Tell him to go to hell. Now let me say this to you, now that I have your attention. We have an announcement that I want you to listen to, because I know she's not just a nurse. She's also my daughter. And I know she wouldn't have came in here to try to give us some news that she hadn't checked into to make sure that it was valid. So I want you to listen, because it's a report on some hand sanitizer that could, be dangerous to your life. So Jahara, you have the microphone.
Yes, sir. Thank you. May Allah, assalamu alaikum.
May wa alaikum ala salam.
The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has actually issued a warning about 9 different hand sanitizer products that are manufactured by a company out of Mexico. It's called EskBiochem. So that's EskBiochem of Mexico. And the product, it's METHYL, methyl alcohol, also known as methanol, which is poisonous. The hand sanitizer has ethanol, ethanol. It sounds the same, but it's not the same. Ethanol is the kind of alcohol that you can actually drink, and it won't kill you immediately. But you can drink ethanol. Methanol can be absorbed through your skin, and it can cause death. It can cause coma, permanent damage to your nervous system, seizures, nausea, and vomiting. And it's still not going to actually clean, even though you hear alcohol in it or the all. So again, you want to check your hand sanitizer and make sure it does not contain methanol with an M. Methanol is a no-no. It is the alcohol form of methane, like methane gas. You want ethanol alcohol, or ethyl with an E, in your hand sanitizer. The list of products, it's all clean hand sanitizer, EskBiochem hand sanitizer, Clean Care, no germ, advanced hand sanitizer, Lavar gel hand sanitizer, the Good Gel antibacterial gel hand sanitizer, Clean Care, no germ, and they have about 3 different ones of that, but Clean Care, no germ, and Sanoderm. All of those are manufactured by this company out of Mexico, and all of them have been found to be toxic. The FDA has actually issued a statement not to use them.
May wa alaikum ala salam. And listen to it if you like. But I had not being hateful or whatnot, but I know that, in order for commerce to take place, the whole world now is one big community. And so countries they are dependent on trading back and forth with each other because of the all of the what you call all of the money is interlinked. They it's a global economy, and it's a good thing in a way and a bad thing in a way, because countries, even though they are independent, they have become more interdependent upon each other in economics. And so, a lot of the jobs that left the country was a bad thing, and so one while, even now I try to buy things that say made in America, made in the United States, sheetrock and whatever other thing. I try to support the manufacturers of those products in America, even though sometimes it may cost a little more because they pay their workers more. And the the downside is that if the U.S. and other and the allies of the U.S. if when the politicians were actually telling countries that, look, you got to stop paying slave wages to your, we're not going to keep on dealing with you if you're going to keep on paying slave wages. Come on up. When you had governments kind of the other people, it was good for the economy. It was good for humanity, how people treat each other. The rich is not trying to say stop being rich, but stop being rich while making other people poor. Now that's what's evil. But we in a situation now where the world is at its end because, and at the same time, at a new beginning. So I told you, if you would have given me a chance, I would have showed you I'm not a fool. I'm not unaware of how to acquire wealth. I could have showed you. You remember one of the favorite movies I had as a child was The Wizard of Oz, because in the end, everything that they was all wanting, the man told them they already had it if they had just paid attention. Huh? I mean, the scarecrow was talking about he didn't have a brain, but every time it was time to do something, he thought of a way to do it. Is that right? And so the lion found out that courage is not being fearless. Courage is when you go in spite of being afraid. Do you understand? And the Tin Man told me he didn't have no heart. But they found out they had been showing that they had all of those things the whole time. And Dorothy found out in the end that her whole purpose for being there was to help them. And she had the means to go home whenever she got ready. This is like you only poor. People in America are poor because they choose to be, not because they need to be. I'm just telling you, all of you could be wealthy if you didn't mind helping each other, but you don't want to help one another. I mean, I could show you the way, but what can you say? Anyway, I'm not interested in just helping you get rich. I want you to be rich in wisdom also, because it makes no difference. You give a fool wealth, and you subject to find him in his bathtub OD'd. You subject to find him. You make him rich. I mean, give him untold wealth, and in 2 years he'll be dead. If he ain't drank himself to death, he done shot up, and snorted himself to death, and done did something, practicing all them vices that he have, he'll be dead soon. So our poverty was actually a mercy from God. So if I could just get you to listen and learn. I remember Donald Trump, he said he loves the poorly educated. And you understand what was meant by that? Well, I love to enlighten the poorly educated. I love to see people who were being made fools of. I love to see them wake up. Until you start looking at things the way they are. I heard Miss Clinton, and I've heard others use it lately. That Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That's saying. It is a better way of saying something heard before. You don't get a second time to make a first impression. First impressions are generally lasting impressions. Because most people, when they first met you, if they were just-minded people, then their first assessment of you was done without malice, without forethought, without prejudice. You created their first thought of you. Do you understand? So, just like I told you, any place that I've ever been, I can go back. And you will not see generally people frowning because they see me coming. Because I care what people think about me. I care about people. It's just like that man that you have to keep booting out of here. If you let him speak and ask him, what did the Son of Man do to you to deserve you coming in there disrespecting him like that? What is the problem? I remember when I was whenever I got on the air, Mississippi, when I was here in Mississippi, when I first got on the air, or when I was out there in Hattiesburg on the air, when I first went to Detroit, the stations did not let me be on the air. And every one of them at one point told the people, the man offered you $10,000 if you can show that he's teaching something wrong. Why don't you just show he's teaching something wrong? You remember when they was asking, when Pilate said, I find no fault in Jesus. I find no fault in the man. He said, what do you want me to do with him? They said, let him be crucified. He said, but why? What? And they just hollered, let him be crucified. He hadn't did nothing. But he was stepping on their gravy train. You know how much money people making off a line talking about God sent them? Religion has become the biggest scam on the planet. and Allah has sent me to put an end to it. I'm through letting people get away with lying to you in the name of God and got you out here trying to kill each other and stuff over there, talking about God, you fighting God's war, God's will. That ain't God's will that we kill each other. That's a murderer's will. If God wants us dead, he don't need us to do it. He can wipe you out and don't even have to, you don't even have to see a drop of blood, and he can get rid of you. Remember that 180 something thousand people that tsunami killed? Huh? If Allah want to get you, you just well to kiss, bend over and kiss you goodbye. And he sure don't need me to do it or nobody else to do it. He can do it himself. The Son of Man came not to destroy men's lives, but to save them. I've been living here in Mississippi since 81. I've been back here in Mississippi. Anybody that know me around here, point out the evil I did to you. Black or white, it don't make no difference. What have I did that made your community worse? What? I mean, certainly if you hate me, it's something that I had to do. What was it that I did? So, I mean, I'm not a person who's just a user. I've been accused of being that from some of the most unlikely sources. Well, all I've done all my life was, all my adult life, I've been working for the betterment of my people. All of my adult life, since I was 22 years old, all I have been doing is what you see me practicing right now. Trying to do something to elevate my people. And not at the expense of other people. Because anytime you seek elevation, that's what I remember Minister Farrakhan, the first time I heard it, it was from him. That the red carpet that they roll out for the kings and rulers of this world, that's symbolic of the bloodshed that they got where they going by shedding other people's blood. They got to their notoriety and all of that by shedding the blood of other people. And I said, man, that's deep. And I remember Minister Farrakhan taught on that back in the 80s. And I said, yeah, that's it. That's one of those truths that you cannot dispute, because it is history. He went forth conquering and to conquer on a red carpet of blood. Huh? All right. You know, I don't just remember what I'm taught. Generally, I remember who taught it to me. That helps keep you humble. You know, it's nothing more insulting than to teach someone something and then hear them coming back, telling it back to you and then forgot that you're the one that taught it to them in the first place. That is insulting. But anyway, so I try to remember and don't take credit for what I didn't do, because that's ugly. So as I look at the people who get up by destroying others, them getting up is only temporary. You see that in the world of animals. The old lion, the young lion, he overpowers the old lion and he takes his place. And then one day he gets to be the old lion and another young lion come up and move him out of the way. Is that right? They got there by force and force removes them. Is that right? You see? This universe is not governed by force. This universe is governed with truth. That's why, even though the beasts, they rule according to their force that they have. But the weakest one, I mean, you put a man in a cage with a lion and turn them loose on each other, who gonna win? The lion has more power and brute force than the man. But take that same man and give him time and put him in there with a lion with a pistol. And that lion come at him, he will shoot a stone in that lion and the lion will be dead and the man will walk out. Do you understand? For the man figured out a way to, even in his weakness, to meet the lion with his brute force. But the lion could not figure out a way to meet the man in wisdom. Do you understand? And I'm going to tell you something else. You run around here threatening these healthcare people. That was a healthcare person that just warned you about something that could kill you. Now you keep on threatening them, and you're going to find out that I told you the truth when I told you you a fool to pick a fight with somebody who got more sense than you. Now, if you know what's good for you, you will leave them alone. That's the worst man on this planet, other than God himself, to pick a fight with a scientist. You don't want to pick no fight with a scientist. You better get yourself somewhere and sit down. Because no one can blame them for defending themselves. And believe me, they know how. Now, you know what's good for you, you stay out their face. And do what they tell you. Now let me show you something else here.
from the Trump era is that the president calls something a hoax, it's true. He called the U.S. intelligence about Russian criminal sabotage in the 2016 election to help him a hoax. It's true. He called intel reports that Russia is attempting to sabotage the upcoming election a hoax. He even cast criticism of his response to the coronavirus as some sort of democratic hoax. So, of course, the president is now calling this incredibly damning reporting mounting day by day about Russia paying a bounty for the killing of U.S. troops in Afghanistan and the U.S. knowing about it a hoax as well. That's even as his administration is briefing Congress about the details.
Now, there's something else that I want to say about that. For they have even tried to suggest that he wasn't briefed on that. Do you know what the initials PDB mean? It means Presidential Daily Briefing. That is a practice of the intelligence community of the United States ever since they formed it. So you mean to tell me that the daily briefing stopped when he became? You know, he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States. Have you ever looked at a coach at a football game or a basketball game? Generally, if one of their players gets injured out there, the coach is the first one out there, one of the first ones to get there to find out what's happening with his man. Is that right? The commander-in-chief should be the first one to want to find out if a soldier or a Marine or an airman or a sailor is killed. He ought to be the first one concerned about what happened, what's going on. So how in the world are you going to tell me that just a hint that someone is out there putting bounties on the head of American soldiers, but that don't rise to the level that it needs to be shared or brought to the attention of their commander-in-chief? You know, Vice President Biden, he's a mild-mannered man that does not like to keep mess going. I mean, you could tell that. I mean, they called President Obama, they called him no drama Obama, right? Well, what kind of vice president would he pick? He picked somebody else that's not drama and stuff. Just let's get the job done. We ain't got to create a bunch of drama. So all President Biden said was that if that indeed happened, if they didn't brief him, then it was a dereliction of duty. Now, most people think he meant on the part of the intelligence community, but no. It would have been a dereliction of duty for him not to call for a daily briefing. Because how in the world can he protect us if he does not go after intelligence that only he is privy to, if he does not want to hear bad things that's happening? You don't need to be protected from good stuff. I remember that. How many of y'all saw The Wiz? Huh? Or you remember that song that the Wicked Witch was singing? Don't bring me no bad news. Is that right? And in the end, she got flushed down the toilet. Is that right? Okay. A president can't tell the intelligence community, don't bring me no bad news. That's the only kind of news that he actually, that's the major news that he should want to be brought. How's he going to keep you safe if he don't know what the bad stuff that people is planning against you? That's why they get gray hair so quick. I mean, I had black hair all the way up to about 45, and I used to think I wanted me some gray hair. And man, the more people I started getting with me, the more I realized that, yeah, now you got you some gray hair. Because of people, it'll put some gray hair on you. And so you saw President Obama in 8 years, he went from all black to all gray just about. Is that right? You know, but you know, you cannot, you can't tell intelligent people that all of a sudden the CIA and the FBI just sat down on the job and didn't brief about what's going on. If they didn't brief it, how did it come to the news?
Sir, yeah.
Yes.
A comment here from First Know Thyself.
Yes, sir.
He says, it wasn't a credible report, neither was there a consensus among the intelligence, DOD, and...
No, sir, that's the lie they've been telling you. But intelligence reports always act like that. It's just like me when I sit down to talk to my brothers. They don't have no consensus on what to be done, what should be done. They just generally they say, well, sometimes they'll say, son of man, I don't think it's about nothing. Another one may say, well, son of man, I think we need to look into that. Another one may say, well, son of man, this. And I don't go with no majority opinion. I make the final judgment about whether or not we need to check it out. Don't be coming in here talking to me with no sound bites that you done got from them people lying and you done bought into it. If you knew anything about leading, you would know that it's not up to the intelligence community to decide what to do. It's their job to report it. Not to make a decision about whether it needs to be reported. If it's out there, report it. Because let's face it, the president is the one that has a cabinet. How many times have you seen your I'll say your mother, because most of y'all that talk like that, you pretty young. How many times have you seen your mother going up in the cabinet, pulling down stuff to make a cake or to fix dinner, and she'll look up there and find something, and she'll call you, come in, run to the store and get me some salt. Now, all them ingredients she got, and she can't work without that salt. But she knows what she's going to need, and the cabinet contains it. When a president takes office, he takes a cabinet in office with him, a cabinet of individuals whose advice he feels that if he needs advice, he can call on them and ask their opinion, and they will give him an informed, not a gut feeling, an informed opinion. The reason that they call it a gut feeling when the president makes his decision is because as he gets information from this one and gets information from that one, he's absorbing it. He's eating it. And when he gets it all in his brain, then it adds up to something. And then his, as the old saying goes, then his gut tells him, this is what we need to do. It don't mean he winging it and that he just making unitarian, if you let me use that word, decisions. When he says, when a true president goes with his gut, what he's saying is he's going with everything that he ate verbally from his advisors. And it added up to something in his mind, and then he went with that. Now, you know your biggest problem is, as I told you, you sit around and you call yourself some couch advisor or whatnot, and you sit down and you type out something and you think you having a conversation. You're not having no conversation with nobody through no letter writing. You've lost all of your verbal skills. I mean, I used to wish I could talk to people that was on the radio and on the TV, but when you call them up, they give you 30 seconds and, well, we got another caller, we're going to have to move you on. And I don't do that. I let you talk with me. Instead of you coming in here having an intelligent conversation, you want to just throw something out there and call yourself contradicting what you don't understand and agreeing with what you don't understand. Talking about it didn't rise to that level. Well, who is to determine what level intelligence rises to, if not the commander-in-chief? It's not the intelligence community's job to censor the president's information. It's their job that if it could be any problem, present it to him. Let him decide whether or not it rises to the level that we need to act on it. Unless you're trying to be the commander-in-chief yourself. Now, what is your objection to what I just said? Well, it's about time. Now, when you get in here, unmute your phone and let me know that you're here.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
In regards to this issue you raised, like I said in my text, it is reported by his press secretary that the president only received actionable intelligence.
Just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. When you say the president only receives actionable intelligence, who determines whether it's actionable?
The intelligence agencies that are collecting it.
No, sir. That's a lie.
And why is it a lie?
When you say that the president only receives actionable intelligence, it is up to the president whether or not something is actionable. In other words, whether he needs to do something about what is being brought to him. It's not up to the intelligence community. It's up to the president. That's why it's called a daily briefing.
I think you are mistaken.
No, I ain't no think. No, I'm not mistaken.
And let me tell you why. There are probably a million things. I'm going to exaggerate there.
Well, that's
There are probably a million things that are happening in the world that the president has no way of taking action upon.
just a moment. Even out of your own mouth, just a moment. Out of your own mouth just came the contradiction.
Explain.
If you say there are over a million things, yes, but that's not what be in the briefing. The only thing that the briefing brings is things that the president needs to make a decision on whether to act on it or whether not to act on it.
Correct.
Okay, so it was in his briefing that there had been rumored that Russia was putting bounties on the heads of American troops. Now they did their part. Some of the intelligence community said, well, we don't know. Others said, we do know. But it's not up to them to make whether there is something to take action on. They reported it. And the president is the one that made the decision whether or not it needed to be acted on. Now, don't come in here. No, your understanding. No, the truth is. See, y'all play games. I'm not here to play games with you. I'm not here to play games with you. It has now come out that they traced the money trail and found that it was true. See, but you don't give a damn because you probably was in the military. But I was in the military. And it bothers me to think that a president didn't give a damn about what happened to me. While I volunteered to go in. And now you got an all-volunteer army. The Air Force always has been all volunteer. The Navy is all volunteer. The Marine Corps is all volunteer. Only the Army was drafting. And now it's all volunteer. And if they volunteered to go in and serve and even put their life on the line, we as a community owe them to back them up and to make sure that you back them up and protect them as much as you can. Not come in here trying to make it look like it's okay to dis.
That's a strong word you're using there.
Well, that's what you're doing. You defending a president who deserted his post.
I don't think you can substantiate that.
Yeah, well, you don't know what dereliction of duty is then. He took an oath to defend, to preserve and defend the Constitution of the United States. as the Constitution is the basis upon which the Republic of the Democratic Republic of the United States is founded. Well, who defends that republic? How does the president defend? He has the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and the intelligence communities of the United States at his disposal to help him to defend, to carry out his oath. And you find out he's not even reading the daily briefings. That's a desertion of your post.
Well, what you're saying definitely contradicts what his president.
No, sir.
Said.
Well, no, it may contradict them, but because all of them liars.
Well, if they're all liars, it's going to come.
I mean, how can it? No, not with people like you.
It's a trail.
No, sir. No, it won't come out with people like you because you trying to condemn what I was showing you.
I wasn't condemned.
This man called.
Condemned anything.
This man called the coming out of the information that they was briefed that a briefing was given to him that the Russian intelligence community was offering bounties for the killing of American troops in Afghanistan. Okay. First thing he said was it was a hoax. Well, if it was a hoax, then why are they now coming out to somebody, well, he didn't get the briefing? If it was a hoax, there was no briefing to get. Your lies, I mean, the lies they tell, it don't, look, whenever you start off lying, to cover that lie, you got to tell a bigger one. It's just like being a student of slavery, I know how slave masters talk to slaves. And slave masters used to get right in front of the slave and speak an English that the slave was not aware of. And that is, John, we have to get our crops in. Now, come on, let's get our crops in. And John said, yes, sir, boss, we're going to go get our crops in. And John didn't understand what our crops meant. John understood our crops mean, but in actuality, the slave master, me and you got to go get our crops in, not yours. Do you understand? Well, you notice the word news. Do you know what the word news means? You know, we throw these words around and we don't we don't pay any attention to what we are saying. When we finally got fax machines, I was told by some of the engineers that I know, some of my brothers here, that the fax machine was around in World War II. When we got it in these 70s or whatever, when the fax machine first came out, I don't know when it was. To us, it was new. It was news to us. But it wasn't new. It was old. And so you heard Mr. Pompeo come out and tell this news about Russia bounties on the head of American troops. That's not news. He meant that it's not new. They had been knowing it. It came out. He had been knowing it since February in 2019. Then what has been done about it? Why are you still buddying up and kissing up to Putin while he's putting bounties on the lives of American troops.
I take it you would prefer a war then with Russia over this issue if it is
I take it.
out to be
No, you. No, I take it.
it's just a question.
Just a moment. I take it that you would prefer nothing to be done. Not me. I prefer that America uses the diplomatic means and the things that they were doing to sanction Russia and that kind of thing. There's other things to do besides shed blood. But to do nothing is just what the former vice president said, is a dereliction of duty. And I say, he was being kind. This president has deserted his post. And the mere fact that he's not doing anything, it even looks to me like, whose side is he on? I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what the Attorney General said when he was asked about how history is going to look at you doing the things that you're doing to the Justice Department and whatnot. And he made the strangest statement. He said, history is written by the winners. By the winners? I told you. There's people making war on you all. You don't even know you're being made war on. Okay. You better wake up. You coming in here playing the devil's advocate with me. I ain't got no dog in the hunt. I don't run nothing in America.
Neither do I.
America's white people's country. I know that. I'm not living in no dream world. And I don't want to run America. I'm satisfied to let the white man have his house. I want my own. I don't want his. And I don't
I disagree with you on that.
I don't need his. I know you do, but I don't care. You ain't, see, I ain't like you. I'm not a person that you have to keep beating over the head to let them know they're not welcome. You see, and I'm not a person who tries to force people to love me that don't. I don't care how much it's just like these fools running around here. I done loved or liked some a woman that didn't care nothing about me before. I get over it. I don't hate her. I move on. And I'm still, I don't stop caring simply because I move on. But when you truly care, I remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught Minister Farrakhan a lesson he shared with us. He said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was riding one day with him, and they got on the subject of love. And he was talking about love so much, the messenger said, "Brother, what is love?" And Minister Farrakhan said, "Well," he said, "when I exhausted all my little wisdom," the messenger looked at me, smiled, and he said, "Brother, if you freedom, justice, and equality, you cannot love." And so he taught me that true love sometimes means to let people go. Because You've had people that maybe wanted to be with you and you didn't want. You didn't appreciate it if they tried to force themselves on you. You know, the reason I get along with people is because I recognize they have the right to turn me down. They have the right to tell me I'm not welcome in their house or in their yard or in their business or whatnot. I recognize that right. See, I'm not a person who's hard to get along with. Anybody that know me, no, I'm not hard to get along with. You know, you want to sit up and pretend that the United States belongs to black people as well as white people. It does not.
So the last time you and I discussed the Constitution.
Yes.
And you mentioned the preamble.
Yes.
Now, my understanding of that preamble, as well as the Declaration of Independence, as well as the 14th Amendment, the 13th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment, this country is for all men.
I didn't say,
now,
just a moment. I didn't say that I'm not a citizen of the United States. I mean, if your brother, I mean, you could be in your your own siblings' house and move in there and your guest in there. But it's still your brother's house. I don't want. See, you want to play games with this. I'm not playing a game here. It's just like the Ku Klux Klan and the skinheads and the white people that are upset about America turning brown and that kind of thing. I understand their feelings. They just want to know that you understand that America is their house. It is their country.
They're mistaken.
No, they're not mistaken. You're mistaken.
They're very mistaken.
No. It wasn't no bunch of brown and black and yellow people sitting around drafting the Constitution. It was all white people.
Well,
now you want to play word games. I told you I'm not here to play games with you.
Oh,
you see, if this was our country, you wouldn't have had to add a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution. Whoever that is got their phone off mute besides us. Mute your phone back. I don't need your help talking to nobody. This ain't no talk show. This is a classroom, and I'm the only teacher in here. So now, I recognize that the Constitution gives us rights, which I'm thankful for.
Constitution doesn't give you rights.
Okay, wait, all right, we ain't going back there no more. You suit yourself, man. I'm not here to play games with you. You want to play word games, and I'm not here to play word games. The Constitution, the rights of the citizens, the rights of the citizens of the United States are laid out in the Constitution of the United States. Now, if you don't recognize that, then I guess you don't believe in the laws that govern. There's no such thing as a civilized society that does itself by certain rules and laws that everyone agree to obey.
That's correct. But
Well, then I don't want to hear no more from you talking about it don't give us no rights.
it doesn't. It recognizes your right.
Look, see what I mean? Now, you go on. I tell you what you do. You go on until you is yours and me is mine. Because you're not interested in truth. You wants to play the devil's advocate. You wants to constantly be arguing where there is nothing to argue about. Just like you sit up here and try to say that the country does not belong to white people. When did they lose control of their own country? They did not.
They never
Now they welcome others. They welcome others. They welcome others to come in and abide by their rules and laws of their constitution, and you can adopt America, but never forget that it is the Caucasians, the white man's country. And I don't forget that. That's why it does not bother me. It does not bother me when white people say they are in authority. Because if it was my fathers that had left me a country, I don't care how many y'all come into it, I'd still remind you that it is mine.
Well,
so
I don't mean
I'm not here to make trouble. I don't like trouble. I don't like bloodshed. I like peace. And I know that I've talked to Ku Klux Klan. I talked to the director of the Ku Klux Klan, and I told him I'm not trying to marry your daughter. I'm not trying to disrespect you or your white people. And he told me he ain't got no problem with me, and he doesn't have no problem with me because I'm not trying to take nothing from him. Even President Obama said that he came about 20 years too soon. Because white people were not ready for a black president. They had not learned that, if you educate a person, if all of their likes and dislikes came through your civilization, then they are just a reflection of you. You have nothing to fear from them. Joe Biden, he saw that. That's why he said he saw President Obama. He looked at President Obama as he looked at any other white man. Why? Because the thoughts of Obama, the way that he conducted himself, he got it through the schools of America. But since the people, they can't get past what color you are, even though they call America the great melting pot. They don't even know what the term means, obviously. They accomplished a great thing here and didn't even realize what they had accomplished. So they're losing it because of hatred and bigotry. Well, I'm just warning you before it's gone forever.
What is happening, the Son of Man, is that those individuals who are not living by the principles laid out in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the preamble, it is their world that is going to be.
That's my, like I said, I'm trying to get you all to wake up so it is only their world. But they're taking you down with them. It ain't no way that a man espousing what Donald Trump got up and espoused. Even Donald Trump was shocked that he became president. So you don't realize what you did to yourselves. America has not been overthrown by Russia or nobody else. America done overthrew itself. The bigotry and the underlying hatred and racism, that's overthrowing you. The hypocrisy of pretending to be Jesus followers and lovers of God. As the book says, he that says he loves God, and how can you say you love God whom you have not seen and you hate your brother that you walk with daily? A white Christian, he don't care about because you call yourself a black Christian, he still hates you. And watch you being mistreated. And stood by and did nothing and said nothing. I'm glad to see some of Caucasian people now standing up and speaking out and telling others that this stuff you doing just ain't gonna go no more. Those are the ones that I feel for. Those are the ones that I'm standing up here trying to save. Those are the ones that I'm speaking up for. Those are the ones that I salute. Well, it's about, but you better take it further than just a march. You better get these people out of these offices that's destroying your country from the inside. Putting all these crooked judges up there, racist judges and people who don't know the first thing about health. You putting them over the healthcare community. And I mean, just crazy stuff. There was a time when that warning about hand sanitizers wouldn't even got out here to the public because it would have never got it in the country. How did it even get in here? Out. And that which could have kept it out, they defunding and drying it up. The Food and Drug Administration and the Department of Health and whatnot. Instead of keeping that wall strong, you got politicians out here telling you don't listen to the scientists. Okay. So I'm telling you, as I look at this stuff, people keep assuming. I mean, you keep acting like you don't see what's really going on. I mean, this is like the Manchurian Candidate. I mean, really. I mean, what are y'all doing? I mean, you see what's going on. You're gonna let these people, you could vote them out of office anytime you get ready. Why are you leaving them up there? You know, this virus, it has an effect on the brain too. Look to me like it's taking its toll. See, everybody think that the virus just do one thing. That virus can take your brain, take your mind from you. And look to me like that's what's happening. You got people standing up there. I heard that woman sitting up there almost foaming at the mouth telling them that masks are killing people. Wearing a mask is killing people. Ain't that something? when it's just the opposite. Not wearing a mask is what's killing people. But y'all listen to this.
Today, the National Security Advisor discussed how we shared this intel with our allies because it was so serious. He also said that the Pentagon took protective measures in response to the intelligence to look. As all this was happening, Donald Trump just kept on making nice with Vladimir Putin, speaking to him at least 5 times. And every day, the White House tries to play this down somehow and say, oh, we didn't know. It wasn't that serious. Nobody read it to the president, so how could he have known? But every day, there's some new report that makes the devastating story look more and more credible. The latest.
Like I said, if you have a president that does not read the daily briefing, then he has deserted his post. It's his responsibility to read the briefing. And then have that's old. That's as old as elementary school, where a teacher will tell you, go and read chapter so-and-so, and we will discuss it in class. What is the purpose of having the written version, if not to be updated so that you can ask questions when you call the intelligence community in there to have verbal conversation about the briefing? So what in the president's mind after he read the written briefing, he can, if he wants to look into it, he can say, well, look, what's this here about these bounties being put on troops here, on the troops? Then they can go into, well, Mr. President, such and so and such and so and so. These sources that we got, they have been reliable in the past, but not always. And then the other one can say, well, we have found, and then they still put it in his court. Well, we found the money trail, and it leads here, and it leads there. But no, now you want to come in here and play word games? No, you're not going to make me lose sight. You know, you can do children like that. A child be concerned about one thing, you can take his mind and just take it off to somewhere else and make him forget all about what you was on. Don't come in here with that to me. You even tried to suggest that it's up to the intelligence community to determine what the president act on and what he don't. The only one determines what the president act on is the president. That's part of his job description. The intelligence community can't order the armed forces into no action to do nothing.
Piece of that comes from the New York Times, reporting that American officials intercepted electronic data showing large financial transfers between Russia and the Taliban. And to explain why that's so important, I want to turn to Rukmini Callimachi, the New York Times correspondent who co-authored that piece. Rukmini, if you could just tell me what your reporting found or what the intelligence said about these wires between the GRU and the Taliban.
I'll tell you something else. As far back as the Revolutionary War and the press have, Washington even stated, George Washington, when this, I was looking at Turn, and when George Washington, matter of fact, I might have a clip from it. I'm a person who likes. I would much rather show you than tell you, and so I keeps little clips and things from you can go online and you can purchase that whole series. I went online and purchased the whole series, and because I'm a firm believer in what you know, that you should know what you're talking about. If you're going to be talking about something, then know what you're talking about. Excuse me. I don't like guessing at stuff when you don't have to. Let me see here. See if I can find this. But this newspaper man had he had disrespected George Washington's wife and wrote some terrible stuff about her. And George Washington, when he confronted the man, just a moment here. He shocked the man and how he spoke to him. See if I can find it. I can't seem to. Just give me a minute here. If I can find it, I'll show it to you. He walked in the man's bar or someplace. Just a moment. Just give me a minute. It's rough trying to skim when you don't know exactly where something is. Here it is. Praise be to Allah. Let's see. Now, now watch this scene here. If I can get it to play. So, let's see.
I apologize for the state of my establishment. Several regular patrons, that is, left in a rush, and some passionate fellows came in and not your typical clientele. Madeira? Welcome back to New York. Rebel rabble routed at Monmouth. Washington left reeling. Washington trounced in triumph. Rebels massacred at Middlebrook. A fine alliterative lilt to them, you must admit. I favor fact over form. What are facts? But opinions expressed as truths. Such as your opinions about my wife. That was That was inappropriate and in poor taste, and the vulgarian who wrote that has been long dismissed. But the publisher accepts full responsibility and begs your forgiveness. Leave us. One more opinion from before the war I would like you to read. The printer is bold to affirm that his press has been open to publications from all parties, and he defies his enemies to produce an instance to the contrary. In the country wherein he was born, he always heard the liberty of the press represented as the great security of freedom. And in that sentiment, he has been educated. That was after the Sons of Liberty threatened to destroy my press, and before they actually did, along with my home. Because of the liberty of the press, no greed. My men are not here to escort you to prison, but to protect you from new reprisals. We shall need vigorous voices to put prod in check, lest our young country stray down the same road as the one we just defeated. We should change the name of the Royal Gazette. Sometimes principle must be tempered with practicality. Good day, Mr. Rillington.
So the freedom of the press is what that was about. That those scenes. George Washington told him, "We're not here to close you down. We're here to protect you. And if you want to do right," in other words, you just write what you feel is right. And if you can show that it's right, write it. Lest we become that which we just made a war against. The freedom of the press is what helps to preserve the freedom. If what the press finds out and the truth will cause the downfall of your movement deserves to fall. So, but attacking individuals because you can't attack what they stand for. That's the one thing about goodness and righteousness. We as a species, man has always fell short of his ideals, but he keeps striving. Just like there's an old saying, our reach and our grasp is not always the same. There was a time when all man could do was look at the moon and wonder. But that didn't stop him from wanting to go and find out and satisfy that wonder, satisfy that question. And because he never stopped wanting and reaching out, he one day landed on it and got a chance to see it up close and personal. We are in a day and time where we can live up to what the prophets only foresaw. They said, we look for a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness. Well, the instruction in righteousness was sealed up, but now it has been unsealed and is being explained. And so that new heaven and new earth, new government and new people wherein righteousness dwells, can be a reality now because the instruction is being made clear and being made plain. All the fog, the clouds are being burned off. And now when you look up into the scriptures, all you can see is the sun and blue, which means now it's time to look at the earth and it's time to straighten out that which is crooked, to heal up and bind up that which is broken, because now you can see how to do it. And looking into the Holy Scriptures now to show you no one can come in here and call themselves explaining scriptures to me. You stand about as much chance of that as you do picking up arms against the United States. They got arms that you ain't never seen. So the last thing they're afraid of is what you might pick up that they gave you against them. And the last thing I'm afraid of is you picking up a scripture against me. The sun and the moon now have been brought together. The greater light to rule over the day, the lesser light to rule over the night, the natural mind to rule over the flesh, the spiritual mind to rule over all. So, because without the spiritual mind, your natural understanding of how to make weapons and when to use them will wind up destroying you. You're the only people, you're the only species that made something that can wind up being his own destruction. You better be glad I am here. Look at you. You made alcohol, and alcohol destroying your people. Look at all of the cigarettes you done made up. Now look at all the people that's trying to get off of cigarettes. You selling a means to get off of that thing that you made. If you had had the whole mind, you would not have only known how to make the cigarettes, you would have been able to determine whether or not you needed to make them. But you didn't have anything to help you resist the devil, that which wind up being your destruction. Well, now you have me here to help you. And if you let me, I will help you. But if you try to hurt me, things have already been set in motion to destroy you. I don't have to do nothing to you. I'm not here to hurt you. But if you try to harm me, it's already been set in motion to get rid of you.
Excuse me, Senator.
Yes.
Person that was just in here talking to you, he's asking if he can send over a link for you to play and comment on.
Send the link. Yes. He's sending it to you? Okay, and you send it to my mail, right? Just a moment. Let me get my mail up here. Let's see. Well, I'm still waiting on you. What's the name of it? Well, I'm talking about what is the name of the video? Well, it's not on here yet. So when it comes, I will be happy to play it. Right now,
So this is, I think, the cherry on top in terms of the evidence of malfeasance by Russia here, and it was a financial transaction from a bank account that we believed, or that intelligence believes, was controlled by the GRU, that's Russia's military wing, and an account that is believed to be controlled by a facilitator for the Taliban. The intelligence briefings that we know the president received went so far.
now I want to remind all of you. The only way you have of keeping any kind of tabs on what's going on in the government is news reporters. They dig and they try to find out. Understand something. The press corps in the White House, they don't exist in there by the president's permission. They have the right to be in there because the government answers to the people. So if people want to overthrow your union, the first thing they have to do is get you to distrust and disbelieve in the news people. Can't do that unless they first make it permissible to, they've been working on this for a long time. Make laws that make it lawful to lie knowingly to the American people. It's called propaganda. There used to be laws against propaganda. You couldn't use your freedom of the press and the airways to knowingly publish false material. Now it's done went to readers beware. Beware of what? You can be knowingly lied to. All of that is done to help pave the way to make you distrust institutions that have helped protect your democracy and help protect your republic. So you suit yourself. I'm only, brother, I still don't see it. Let me check spam. Sometime it'll go there. I don't see it in there either. Oh. But anyway, now you see, there it is. First, I want to let her finish. Now, this is the New York Times here that have been as a consistent reporter of government activities.
As to name the Afghan middlemen that were involved in those transfers. And today, my Afghan colleagues spent a lot of time looking at one of those people, Rahmatullah Azizi, who was a petty drug smuggler back in the day. He then went on to become a contractor, actually helping in the reconstruction of Afghanistan and taking money from the American-led coalition, before suddenly starting to make frequent trips to Russia. And that coincided with what neighbors described as a change in his lifestyle. He suddenly had nicer cars. He built a villa for his family, a 4-story villa, and he began having bodyguards.
So we think that, I mean, what's interesting about that part of the story to me is that the idea, like the Taliban, it has their own strategic imperatives that they want, right? And they've been fighting war for years and years. It's not like they necessarily need a Russian bounty. But in this case, it seems like there's a sort of adjacent group of people, maybe more mercenary in their interests, that could be sort of more easily turned in this fashion by a monetary incentive.
Well, I think that this is a case of common ground in terms of a common enemy. So Russia was providing money to the Taliban to carry out something that the Taliban was already doing, which was trying to target American troops.
Yeah, and of course, there's a kind of grim historical symmetry here because the U.S. And the CIA funded the Mujahideen, a sort of antecedents to the Taliban, precisely when they viewed the Russian mess there as a kind of strategic weakness, right? So this is a kind of Russian payback. There's a sort of logic to why Russia would do it, although there is this question of like, why, right? I mean, what the sort of strategic vision is here, why they have invested themselves increasingly heavily in the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Well, I think what is surprising in all of this is that Russia is doing this at a time when you have in the White House a leader that, by all accounts, has been incredibly warm towards the Russian state and the Russian president in particular.
It's not so much incredibly warm as it is incredibly weak. Do you understand? He reminds me of my little brother. My little brother used to save all of his big talk and harsh words for me and his other older brothers. But when he got out there with others that were his equal out on the street, he didn't talk tough to them. You saw what happened over there when he went to Helsinki? He come out there like a little whipped puppy. When they asked him a question, he said, President Putin can answer that. Huh? But then he get back over here and he save all of his tough talk and his bluster for those who he's supposed to be on their team. Which makes you wonder, whose team is he on? It don't make me wonder. I mean, it seemed to not make you wonder. You just keep on saying he's stupid, he's dumb. Well, if he's so dumb, why? How did he upset this country if he's so dumb? You got a Senate that have become a rubber stamp for him. Huh? Thought there was 3 branches of government. Not now. Okay.
The GRU unit, this is the military intelligence unit that Russia that Russia used to carry this out, is apparently the same unit that is responsible for the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in London in a couple of years ago with the powerful nerve agent Novichok. If you'll recall, when that event occurred, it was really a scandal in Europe, and various European countries ended up expelling dozens of Russian diplomats in retaliation for that. The reaction across the pond in America was much more muted. You had a very similar set of events where President Trump was initially very doubtful of the intelligence indicating a Russian link to this, and did not react until Congress essentially forced him to, in terms of taking steps to punish Russia for what they had done.
Yeah, it was a chemical weapons attempted assassination on another country's soil, clearly linked back to the Russians. It's an extremely, extremely huge deal. The sort of one very sort of solemn question that hangs all over this, of course, is that there was an attack that killed 3 U.S. Marines in 2019. The father of one of the Marines who was killed in that attack in Afghanistan wants answers amid reports of Russian bounties. He has spoken up about his son, Corporal Robert Hendricks. What do we know about whatever degree of intelligence there is linking to that specific attack?
This is the interesting thing, where intelligence officials that we have spoken to disagree in terms of whether that particular attack and the death of those soldiers was indeed linked to this bounty. The officials that I have spoken to said that this is an event and a tragedy that is under investigation that could be linked to this, but they haven't fully squared that circle. What they are clear on is that Russia, through its military intelligence wing, has been paying these bounties to the Taliban with the hopes that they will use the bounty to carry out these attacks. Whether or not they have succeeded in killing Americans with this money is unclear at this point.
Rukmini Kalamaki, thank you so much for being with me tonight. It's a great reporting, as always. Lawmakers continue to press for answers on the intelligence behind the report that Russia paid bounties to Taliban-linked militants for killing American troops in Afghanistan. They want to know who knew what and when. Pentagon officials were on the Hill today briefing some senators, including members of the Armed Services Committee. One of those members, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat from New York, joins me now. Senator, thank you for joining us. I wonder, I know obviously there's often classified information in these contexts, but if you can tell us what you learned today.
Well, I certainly didn't learn anything that was useful. The briefing that we had was classified, but it was entirely inadequate. We didn't even get the information that you would normally see in the New York Times. I'm deeply concerned that this White House has failed to act, knowing that Russia paid a bounty for the killing of American troops in Afghanistan. The fact that we have the kind of evidence that other New York Times, Washington Post, AP have reported on about wire transfers of money as well as cash being found in safe houses in Afghanistan show a lot of evidence that this actually happened. And the fact that President Trump refused to stand up to President Putin is an outrage.
What do you think of his reaction thus far? It's striking to me that he hasn't really even reacted still. It's all about it not being true or whether or not he read his presidential daily brief, as opposed to grappling with the underlying substance of the allegation here, which is quite serious and will represent a serious escalation by Russia.
Yeah, President Trump has called this a hoax. He's called COVID a hoax. The only hoax we have is president who thinks he's a genius. And so the truth is that President Trump has been unwilling to hold Putin accountable during his entire presidency. He didn't hold him accountable during Helsinki. He didn't hold him accountable in any of the iterations since.
And that's what I'm saying of all of you. You say he didn't hold Putin accountable. But y'all not holding him accountable. What incentive does he have to hold Putin accountable? It's, from the looks of it, Miss Clinton was right. He's the puppet of Putin. Looked to me like he's more afraid of Putin than he is of the people of America.
And this is such a breach of the commander-in-chief's responsibility. He has failed as commander-in-chief. He is supposed to look out for our service members. He is supposed to guarantee that he's doing everything in his power to make sure that their missions are as safe as they can be.
Now listen to her. Well, then what does that tell you? I mean, he's not interested in being your commander-in-chief. He's interested in doing just what he's doing. Draining your government. He said he's going to drain the swamp, didn't he? The only thing that's left to be drained, there ain't no water in Washington, D.C. now that need draining. What's in the place of the water? The Capitol buildings and all of that? That's what's being drained now. He even put up done made the White House a compound. The people's house now can't get, that's what you call it, the people's house. Like he put up another wall around the people's house. To keep who out? You even call for the military to come in and tear gas peaceful demonstrators. They say they hate him. He said they hate him. Could it be they just hate what you're doing? But anybody that don't agree with what he's doing, they hate him. You understand? Anyway.
To not react to this information and to have his White House, not react and not do anything with regard to Russia is simply a dereliction of duty.
Now, whether you know it or not, she just agreed with what I told you. To determine what action to take on intelligence is not left up to the intelligence community. They deliver that intelligence, that report, that briefing. They deliver whatever intelligence they have to the president, and he is the determiner of what action to take, if any.
The president today threatened to veto the NDAA, that's the National Defense Authorization Act. It's passed, I think, every year. It's actually one of the sort of remaining bipartisan bills in Congress, although there's lots to critique within it because it's an enormous bill. But because of the amendment inside to rename bases that are named after treasonous Confederate soldiers.
They finally acknowledging that the Confederacy and those who took part in the uprising and taking up arms against the United States government were committing treason. And what right do you have to be honoring people that committed treason? Why would you even teach your children to honor those people? I'm not speaking in a vacuum. A lot of you all who honoring them, you ain't saying nothing. Why not? Could it be that you know that your position is indefensible? That in order to say you should honor them is to confess that you hate the United States. I don't hear you saying nothing.
What would that do on the Hill if the president vetoed the NDAA?
Well, we would override his veto, so his veto ultimately would be irrelevant. The fact that this
Do you think that you think you'd have the votes?
I do. Yeah, the NDAA typically passes with 90 votes. It is not a controversial bill by the time it gets to the floor generally. And we would override his veto. But again, to say he's going to veto a bill that is as complex and as important as the defense authorization bill over the renaming of monuments and bases is outrageous. The fact that he continues to spew hatred and divide this country on racist lines is just continuation of a president who doesn't understand the American people, is out of touch with the American people, and can't understand what this moment is right now that we're in, that we need a reckoning with generations of racism and systemic and cultural racism within our country. He hasn't been willing to address it, and in fact, all he's done is stoke flames. So I think this president just shows again and again that he's so out of touch with where the American people are right now.
Yeah, he don't. Him and most of them in the Senate, they don't care nothing about the American people. You cannot claim to care about the people of America if you're trying to put them one against the other. I don't know how you can claim to care about the American people when you're trying to get them to tear themselves apart over petty differences. I mean, how do you justify that? So, got one more thing, then I'm gonna play this other thing for young man. Now I want you to listen to this this young man who was in the military and who served his country. Listen to what he have to say on this ad that they done took out.
Any commander-in-chief with a spine would be stomping the living out of some Russians right now, diplomatically, economically, or if necessary, with the sort of asymmetric warfare they're using to send our kids home in body bags. Mr. Trump, you're either a coward who can't stand up to an ex-KGB goon, or you're complicit. Which is it? Donald Trump is unfit to be our commander-in-chief, and that's worse than useless. I'm a pro-life, gun-owning combat veteran, and I can see Trump for what he is, a coward. We need to send this draft dodger back to his golf courses. The lives of our troops depend on it.
Wow.
Ain't that something? You know, I'm a Vietnam veteran, but you know, I mean, I'm not a person who condones war. If people don't attack you, you got no business attacking them. But when I was 18 years old, I didn't understand what I understand now. And, I, at that time, I felt like this was my country and I had a duty to go and answer the call to defend it if necessary. Even right now, if this country was attacked, I live there. You putting me in the middle of it, you attack us. It's, don't. I remember the messenger said, we will not participate in wars that you go around the earth starting unless America herself is attacked, wherein we have something to fight for. Because my family live here. My people are here. Right then. Now, I don't want to kill nobody. And now, Allah have told me, he said, you don't pick up nothing. Don't you pick up no guns, not even a penknife. He said, if there's any fighting to be done, he said, I will do that. He told me that through his messenger. Said, no, you ain't got to go trying to fight nobody. Remember what's written. The Son of Man came not to destroy men's lives, but to save them. Well, now let's see what this is, this man have sent here. Just a moment.
Who's going to want to cooperate with the United States intelligence community? Who's going to want to be a source or an asset if they know that their identity could be disclosed? Which allies will want to share information with us if they know that some rogue intelligence officer can go splash that information on the front page of a major U.S. newspaper?
That is the most crazy thing I ever heard. People, she trying to make it look like the intelligence officer that's letting the people know that they are not being properly represented up there. Now, that's who's the wrongdoer. Huh? Hey, boy, this is something. These old Fox News people.
Is a piece of intelligence information that had no consensus, has not been verified, still to this day has not been verified, and there are several intelligence agencies on the record noting.
Most of the intelligence that the White House gets is not totally verified or agreed upon. But it is not something that just a few little fellas sit around in a room and decided to do. It's the CIA and them. They gather the intelligence and they send it to the president in a briefing. And then it's up to him to read the briefing and then have a discussion with them about the degree of accuracy. Is it 50%? Or when they was talking about going after what they said, Osama bin Laden? What was it? 50% chance that he was there? Ain't that what they said? Well, there's a 50% chance that he was there and a 50% chance that he wasn't. And so they They didn't. So they didn't go. I mean, so they did go on that. And 50%. Well, okay, let's check it out. But it was up to the president to decide go or no go. So what this one, see, that's why they want you to be dumb. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. The more you listen for what you want to hear, instead of listening for the truth, the easier it is to mislead you. That's how con men get over. They find out what you want to hear, and they lead off with that. You see? Now let's start this back from the beginning here.
Cooperate with the United States intelligence community. Who's going to want to be a source or an asset if they know that their identity could be disclosed? Which allies will want to share information with us if they know that some rogue intelligence officer can go splash that information on the front page of a major U.S. newspaper? This is a piece of intelligence information that had no consensus, has not been verified, still to this day has not been verified, and there are several intelligence agencies on the record noting that. You have the Department of Defense saying that they have no corroborating evidence to validate the recent allegations. The NSC allegations in recent press articles have not been verified or substantiated by the intelligence community and the ODNI. We are still investigating the alleged intelligence referenced in recent media reportings, but that didn't stop the New York Times from putting it on the very first page of their newspaper and stopping us from getting to an ultimate conclusion and an ultimate place of having a consensus.
Ask her, how was that stopping you from getting to the ultimate conclusion? How is the New York Times letting the American people know that this is something that has been rumored to be happening? How is that going to impede any investigation they're doing? See, that's the kind of double talk that you can do to people whose intelligence you have no respect for. The only thing that's bothersome is that why are you upset? If you've been doing anything about it, why aren't you telling the American people what it is you've been doing since you found this out? You notice, he ain't telling you what they've been doing about it. They upset because you've been told about it. Well, tell me this. How is it your government if you don't know what they're doing? If the government truly is yours, and that's what the press is for. That's why they made a free press. The freedom of information, the freedom for the American people to know what the government is doing. What's she attacking the New York Times for? For what? And look at her, young and stupid.
Alleged intelligence.
Why didn't they show the rest? Don't you think it's strange they didn't show the questions? Huh? would like one of you all who think that somehow held that what she said made any sense. Come and explain to me what sense it made to you. Just remind me of Miss Hoffman when I was growing up. Miss Hoffman, she said, "You ain't gonna urinate on me and tell me it's rain." Huh? Sure as I tell you. So I'm just it's sad that you all have allowed yourselves to to fall so low. There was a time when somebody like that couldn't have came out to represent nothing. You're going to come out and insult our intelligence by telling us that the CIA or the FBI got rogue agents that's just blabbing secrets that they wouldn't have had to do that if the president had did his job. The president should have been the one that told us. It has been brought to our attention that their Russian intelligence community is offering rewards for the murdering or the killing of American troops. Huh? That should have came from the president. And this is what we are doing about it. We're going to put sanctions, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. He ain't said nothing. Said he didn't know. He didn't know. Okay. But, I'm still curious as to Caucasian people that is listening to me. Do you think I'm wrong for standing up here speaking on this? Come and tell me what's wrong with it. It's an old saying. If you don't know if you don't have a full appreciation of what you have, you soon gonna lose it. So just keep on tripping. Keep taking for granted that your way of life and your way of government just gonna be here. Just keep thinking that. And you let people just undermine your Constitution and all of that. If we go over a little bit, kind of bear with us if you can, because I'm not trying to run out on you. I want to hear, especially you who disagree with me. You seem to you have all of these different some of y'all asked me, did I get my Cheetos? Yeah, I got them. So thank you. But anyway, I want you to remember that all I'm here for is to share the truth with you as I see it. If I see it, it's my job to share it with you. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm not like you. Just get up and stand up and say something and have no real authority to back up what I say. When I say a thing, I don't just stand up here and just become a parakeet. Yeah, I mean, you come in here with a bad understanding in the first place. You don't understand what the intelligence briefing of the the president's daily briefing. You don't understand why that exists. Obviously, for you to think that the intelligence community is the one that makes the decisions about what to take action on and what not to take action on. And so the people that misrepresent that position, they have, it's like that old saying about viruses and diseases. They enter into your body through the weakest members, in the weakest parts. And wherever you find an unenlightened mind, you have found a weak mind in a particular area. You see? So they come up to you and suggest to you that the president is not the one that determines the actions or whether something is actionable. The CIA and the FBI determine whether the president's supposed to act on something. In other words, they got more power than the president. Well, then why are they reporting to him instead of him to them? They are at his disposal. He is not at their disposal. But you, being ignorant, I remember Alexander. Alexander, when he was fighting in a war, one of the captains of the king that he was fighting against, one of the captains saw that they were going to lose. And so rather than go down fighting, he killed the king. And then they were ready to surrender. And Alexander said, who have slain my enemy? He said, come forth and let me reward you. And so reluctantly, the captain came forth. And he said, aye. And Alexander drew his sword and slew their captain and told him that only a king may slay a king. That's just another, that is this on the simplest level, that a man has a right to be judged only by a jury of his equals, his peers. When I make a judgment about the president, or I make a judgment about the rulers or the leaders of the world, I'm doing so as one of their peers, not as someone who is under them. Do I sound like I'm under them? You come in here and you try to tell me or teach me about how a president is supposed to conduct himself, and you, every time you open your mouth, you manifest that you don't have the slightest clue on how it works. And that's why people are able to dupe you and misrepresent what's going on. You the presidency of the United States up to now has been the most powerful office of this world. And when the president of the United States spoke, the whole world listened. You want to come in here and try to make it sound like the president of the United States is not does not determine what actions that the country takes, but it's the intelligence community that determines what is actionable and what is not. You are about to lose your government because you don't know how it works. Yeah. Okay. You go right ahead. And you know, ain't no skin off me now. You know, I'm the leader and teacher of the new nation of Islam. I'm just an observer that, you know, I was born in America. I learned good things and bad things from growing up in this country. I learned the value of keeping your word. I learned a lot about manhood from growing up in America. And so, you know, like any child, his mother might have been a prostitute, but he still loved his mama. You know, I mean, you can't hardly grow up and find a child that if you say something about their mama, they don't get mad. You wasn't that way about your daddy, but your mama. Well, when somebody says something about your mama, you kind of bristle a little bit. Because, you know, that's mama. You might say something about her sometime, and when you get mad at her, but you didn't like it when somebody else said something about her. Ain't that right? So, you know, we have a strange relationship here. So I'm the kind of person that can, and I have to be that way because I'm the judge of the world. I can't just remember your evil. I have to remember the good too. I have to weigh both. You know, it's like when you go to court, you not only, you can't just listen to the prosecution, you got to listen to the defense too and weigh both sides. So I understand that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he said the white man is the devil, he said all white people are devils. He said, don't you trust none of them. And then later he said, now you go by his skin, you go by his color because you didn't know who was up under the color. And another place in the Message to the Black Man, I think I read it in there. He said, and from here, I don't see any cover left for the white man's skin. So the understanding of white man, he kind of gave different understandings of it. One place he said, "Are there any Muslims other than righteous?" And he answered the question. He said, "I beg your pardon. I've never heard of one." And then when he was teaching on Prophet Muhammad of 1400 years ago, he said, Muhammad of 1400 years ago was a white man. He didn't say Muhammad of 1400 years ago was a devil. He said he was a white man. And I mean, it could get confusing after a while if you didn't really pay attention to everything the messenger was saying. And then he in 74, he said, "This is their house." After he said, "We want to thank the Chicago white people for making it possible for us to obtain the country club." He said, "For making it possible for us to get in such position where we could prove ourselves worthy of such position." He said, "We thank them. They have did us a great favor." He said, "I don't think we have nothing to do but to honor and thank them for putting us in such position." He said, "This is their house, and we are here teaching you the truth. They are not objecting to you teaching the truth, as we have white Muslims in America, and lots of them. We have them all over the earth, and they recognize and respect you. You must recognize and respect them." He said, "This I mean from my heart. Everywhere we go, respect people, and people will respect you." He said, "There are white Muslims in America after teaching us that there's no such thing as an unrighteous Muslim." So I had to rethink my position, meaning rethink the understanding that I had. And like any intelligent person, when you discover that what you was thinking and what you was understanding was not the correct understanding, then you change, because that knowledge forces you to. It's like some of these, you had a young Caucasian girl in Michigan telling people don't vote for her daddy because he's a racist. Going online saying don't vote for him because he's a racist. We all coming up with the knowledge that we can't follow in the footsteps of our daddies. I couldn't follow in my daddy's footsteps. I love my daddy, but I couldn't follow in his footsteps because my daddy was satisfied to just live in this country and never be free. I couldn't do that. I want to know what it's like to have your own country, not to be in this man's country under him for the rest of my life. No, I don't want that. That ain't got nothing to do with hating him. I just want to feel what he feels when he's in charge of his country and his land. I want to feel that. I didn't move out of my daddy and mother's house because I hated them. I moved out because I wanted my own house. Running around, I'm tired of going from one generation to the next. Well, we want the right to vote. We want the right to do that. We want the right to do that. You wouldn't have to do that if they really considered it your country. I'm not here to play them games with you. And I'm not going to let you put no jacket on me that don't fit. I defy you to come in here and call me a racist. I defy you to come in here and call me a bigot. I offered you 50. Never seen nobody walking around spouting off about your right to be independent and be self-determined and then get mad because I say it's my right too. All these scared to death Negroes walking around here mad at me. You ain't got to worry about it. If you don't want to be with me, I don't want you. Never seen nobody get mad. You say, hey, you want to go somewhere? No, I don't want to go nowhere with you. And then get mad when I say I don't want you with me then. What on earth is wrong with you? Do you see me walk around here begging anybody to get with me? I tell my followers, you ain't got no business out there up in nobody's face telling them to get with the Son of Man. If they ain't got sense enough to get with me, they don't need to be with me. I don't want them. I don't want no dummy with me. Here you mad at me because I say we should be free. No, go. You want to be a slave all your life? Go. Got no right to be mad at me. I gave you the right to go on and be what you want to be. Well, give me that same courtesy. Anyway, I teach the truth and lie. But you love lies. People sending you, telling you that the scientific community should be ignored. And here you come. These doctors don't know what they got. According to who? This virus is really taking its toll on people. I mean, you know, the scientific community, I want you to I want you to think for a minute. Now, they told us that this virus also has an effect on the brain. So when I would like to maybe ask some of them who may be listening, people that you think are asymptomatic, showing no symptoms, are you sure that they're not showing symptoms when you listen to people talk? And how don't make no sense? Are you sure that's not one of the symptoms? I did warn you that I saw you walking around, can't blink your eyes. I did warn you that, when I saw it, I didn't know what to think. Even the messenger told you, he said, I don't care what you say about Elijah Muhammad. He will not be rolling the streets with his eyes set in his head of a chastisement from Allah. And I'm going to teach you what he taught me to teach you. And your accepting, that's left up to him. When I heard that girl sitting there talking about wearing masks is killing people, I couldn't believe my ears. Out of all these years that we have seen medical professionals walking around in hospitals with masks on, how many times have you heard of any of them falling dead from wearing a mask? But that youngster sit right there and told them people they need to be put in an insane asylum for thinking they could order people to wear masks. Look to me like that virus is already taking its toll on most of y'all. I see symptoms, especially when they told me that it affects your brain. Now I understand why people saying things and doing things that don't make no sense. It's becoming clear to me. Okay. Any question?
Yes, sir, from Frederick Blackwell.
Yeah.
And he says, as a black man, how come we don't have the Million Man March for 2020?
Didn't I tell you I'm not here to do no marching? Now, if you want to march, you get on over there with Farrakhan and all of them that's out here tripping. Got no time to be marching nowhere with you. You know, I didn't participate in the first one, nor any of them that was subsequent from that. I'm not here to march and demonstrate. I'm here to guide those who want their freedom. I'm here to guide you to them. Now, I'll show you. I'm glad you brought it up, though. I almost forgot. Those of you who float sheetrock, I want to make something a little clearer to you. So I want you to pay attention to this little short video clip that I made to show you how to float sheetrock with water. And I figured out a better way to do it. And You know, you know, the more you do something, it's just like the first car was Model T. And you know, well, the first one off the assembly line was Model T. And you notice the car been getting better and better as they went on, right? So let's see here. If I can get this thing, no content available, upload videos. What's that about? Do I click on it or what? I already clicked on that and put me in the room. You looking at it? Your channel? Switch account? Huh? Well, hurry up, man. Come on. Y'all walk like old men. I get around quicker than y'all. Right. The one at the top? 5 minutes? Sir? Okay. Now I want you to pay attention. When you floating this out with water instead of sand, let your sponge not be all the way wrung out. And your sponge trowel pre-wet. And always start up at the top. Now I done did the top already. Because as you float, you don't want to re-mess it up. As you don't want to re-wet it with water. So you work your way down. So now, instead of taking a spray bottle, I found this even works better. It lets you work faster. Take your sponge, it's already full of water, and not just dripping with water, but full of water, and go over it first with your sponge. Now, keep your sponge in your hand and this pre-wet sponge trowel and just start going over it. Now you can rub it either way. I do circular motions and then I do straight and back and forth. So what you're doing is you smoothing it down. You smoothing your mud down till it's just faded out to the wall. And use that extra water in your sponge to keep your sponge wet, to keep going on, to keep your trowel wet. So you notice I just wrung some more water out of my sponge instead of going back to the bucket. I just wrung some more water out of my and you see how close up that's fading out. Just like doing a haircut, that's a fade. And you just fade it right out. And by the time you finish, put a little more water. By the time you finish, you got a nice fade, but you ain't endangering your health. Okay. And then go back over. Wipe it all up. And as you can see, it's nice, faded out. And whatever you don't see faded out, you can just kind of rub it a little bit with your sponge. And it'll fade. And this way, for your lungs and everything. And at the same time, you get the same effect of a sanded wall. Okay? And I'm just working my way down to the bottom. So now you can go back and study that some more. Those of you who do sheetrock, and I'm learning more and more as I do it, better ways to do it. Well, I did have a spray bottle that I was using, and it Allah blessed me to think about the sponge thing, and that worked even better. And even though that's not wet rock, that's not that sheetrock that you're supposed to put water on, but the little thin layer of mud that winds up on your sponge trowel helps you keep from damaging the sheetrock. And so it is really a blessing to be able to know how to do something. Because I used to dread sanding because I knew that dust, it get through that mask and even, get out in your lungs, and it can really mess you up. So now you don't have to breathe in no dust or whatnot. You can do it with a sponge and a sponge trowel, and it works just as good. And when you finish, it looks just like it was sanded. So all praise is due to Allah. And remember to just start at the top and work your way down. And it don't take that long. You saw how quick I was moving, relatively quick. Now, did anybody else want to know? Like I said, I ain't got time to be going nowhere marching and going on. We need to be somewhere working and building. You can't build no nation walking around with a picket sign or whatnot. You build a nation by walking around with some lumber and some nails and some carrying something on your shoulder and going there and building something. You can't beg your way to freedom. You must work your way to it. You can't beg your way to equality. You must work your way to equality. You see? And that's not to condemn people for those. If I had thought that it was something wrong with those people marching and for the Black Lives Matter with the murder of our people by police officers, I would have said so. But I was happy and proud to see the the mosaic of American people marching and speaking with one voice to say, enough is enough. Stop murdering the people that you're supposed to be out there policing and protecting. And so I thank you for that. I thank all of you. Everything has its place. But I'm telling you, as my people, if we are ever to be accepted as the equals of other free people of the earth, we must start building and start managing our own affairs and guide ourselves to sit across the table from them at the UN or wherever you want to go. We must earn the right to do that by building ourselves up and lifting ourselves up by our own intelligence, by our own resources, human and otherwise, and by our deeds and actions, demand respect and equality with others, not begging and crying and boo-hooing, as we say, because people mistreat us. We must learn to, if people mistreat you, get out of the way. Get out of their way so they can't mistreat you. We have Black community, and yes, white people are killing us, but not as fast as we killing us. If Black lives matter, let's show that it matters when Black people doing it. Let's hold them to account that look like us. You heard that when they come in here. I don't know if that's a Black man or white man. He sound Black, coming in here talking all that old crazy talk. Too much you want to get rid of the N word. Well, stop being a nigger. That's the only way to get rid of that word, is to stop being what that word means. Selfish and stingy and hateful. Anyway, I think that, did we have any more questions? I notice you all were always quick to want to go march, but you ain't quick to want to go work. You see what I'm doing? I'm not out here marching and begging. I'm working. And I ain't got to wait on no crowd of people to get with me to start working either. So I'm going to put a pin in it there. And may Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. And all I can say to you who own this country, take it out of the hands of people who don't care about it. So I'm not letting people misrepresent the Bible to me anymore. Allah has raised me up to declare holy war and to take all of this misrepresentation of his word out of the mouths of people. You'll notice, nobody comes in here and tell me I'm misinterpreting the scriptures. Because they know I'm bound to say, well, then you tell me what the interpretation of it is. Then when they start giving me their private understanding, I take them over there to the scripture that says no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. And if you don't know what that means, it means just what the Holy Quran says. It says, and we sent it down fully explained. Well, then the explanation of the scripture is hidden somewhere in the scriptures. As Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till the whole was leavened. And I'm the only one that Allah have given the knowledge and the guidance to where to go and find the explanation. You see. So, as it's written, for God so loved the world in that he gave his only begotten S-U-N. I'm the only man that have the light of understanding to shed on the Holy Scriptures. So, and to keep people from misleading you with the Constitution, I shed light on it for you too. You see, he maketh his sun to shine on the just as well as the unjust. Is that right? And when I give understanding of any of it, there's no doubt left in it. And so, like I told you, they tried to misinterpret the Constitution as meaning the Second Amendment is put there so that if the people don't like what the government is doing, they can take up arms against the government and overthrow it. Not according to the preamble. The preamble says that one of the major reasons for the Constitution being drafted up was to promote domestic tranquility. Well, anything that you interpret to mean to break the peace of the American and the unity of the United States, your interpretation is wrong. Because the Constitution was drafted to promote tranquility. Tranquility is peace. Well, you sure not promoting tranquility if you saying that the Second Amendment was drafted so that you could rise up and take up arms against the United States. That's what the Confederate States did. They took up arms against the government of the United States. Anyway, so I'm going to let you go. And if it pleases Allah, we'll talk some more Friday. Unless somebody had a question. All right, then. And any of you want to come in here and tell me I'm not the Lord now? I have to put that out there, you see. Because you've been running around here calling me crazy. You've been running around here saying that I'm just a uppity nigger. And I told you I'm the Lord. Very important that you remember, I did tell you. So when it's all said and done, you're going to say just what the devil is prophesied to say. He's going to say, blame me not. For Allah, the God, the Lord, promised you the promise of truth. And he's going to tell you, I promised you. That's what politicians do. They promise you. And then fail to fulfill. As in, Mexico going to pay for that wall. Did they pay for it? Okay. You just remember. You don't mind being lied to. And a person that don't mind being lied to, don't mind lying. Well, I mind you lying to me. I'm not a liar, and I don't want to be lied to. And that's why I cut you off when I find you lying. So anyway, that's enough of that. May Allah bless us, keep us safe and in our right minds, who hunger and thirst for his righteousness. May Allah's Salam alaikum.